But the way we usually kick the show off every week is we have a little segment that we like to call Nerd News. It is last week's news today. It's stuff you probably, as a nerd, already heard about, but you haven't heard our take on it. And this week, as always, we go to the studio with our anchor person, Brent Williams. Brent, give us the news.
Well, last week I was watching the video, and I noticed that the video seemed a little bit crooked. Like it wasn't quite straight.
Our video looked
Was I leaning the whole time?
Well, I found out what the problem was, is the Earth is actually tilted 31 and a half inches.
What?
Yeah.
That's it.
So apparently...
That explains everything.
Apparently...
So your spirit level doesn't mean anything right now.
That's right. So apparently, the groundwater, the amount of groundwater in the Earth affects the wobble of the Earth's axis, right? Which makes sense, right?
If you say so.
And
Wobble, baby, wobble,
the more,
baby.
Yeah, there you go. Wobble, wobble. The more groundwater we pump out, the more it affects the tilt of the Earth. And over the last 20 years, it's tilted 31 and a half inches. And most of the groundwater that gets pumped ends up going into the ocean, which the oceans have risen 0.24 inches.
I have to assume some responsibility for this. So
I knew it was coming.
my mother.
Yeah,
No,
I knew
not
there
my
was
mother.
a story. There's no way there was not a
Wait,
story.
I have a story. Story time. My wife recently bought me some really cool Tivolo ice maker thingies. If you're not familiar with these, they make the perfect whiskey ice balls.
Was that the technical term? Ice maker thingies?
Yes.
Okay. I need to know how to look them up
Well,
online.
we're looking around. I'll send you all the information later. They make the best whiskey ice balls out there. Perfect. They're just perfect for any tumbler. And
Now we know.
they also come in various other shapes and sizes. So we were online and we found these ones that were actual footballs.
Oh, my.
And the other ones are skulls.
Oh, my.
I already had the roses. And so I filled all those up. And as I'm filling them from the water thing in the fridge, water is like constantly flowing out. Because the skull one in particular, like I had to find the right angle. Because every time the water spout just went straight down into the skull, it hit that round and went and like fired right out.
How did it go? Okay.
And it was all over the floor. Hence the ground water.
So you're saying that all of humanity...
That was a long way to go for a bad dad joke.
It kind of was. It kind of was.
I want those last 2 minutes back.
But are you telling me that all of us now, all of humanity is just basically at a Batman Dutch angle right now?
Yep.
Okay.
So no more wells or ground pumping water or anything like that.
Stop it, America, and also the world. We're watching. What else you got there, buddy?
Well, Forbidden Planet, the classic Forbidden Planet.
Yes.
It's getting a remake.
Oh.
It's getting even worse. It's getting a revisionist remake from Warner Brothers.
Isn't that the French film?
No, not at all.
No.
No, the
Forbidden
Forbidden Planet.
Planet.
So the Forbidden Planet is a movie that's loosely based on The Tempest by Shakespeare,
Okay.
right?
Extremely loosely.
Extremely loosely. But that was the inspiration for it. Leslie Nielsen was in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
But he
about
wasn't
something
doing all of his one-liners
Yeah,
from
he was playing
airplanes.
the
What
James
am I
Bond.
thinking of?
I have no idea.
There's a cartoon. It was a French cartoon, pretty famous. I'll look it up later.
Okay then. Anyway, yeah. So there's a comic book guy. His name is Brian K. Vaughan. Haven't heard of him. He's an Eisner Award-winning comic book creator. Why the Last Stand saga. He also is a writer on Lost and Under the Dome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
I remember those shows.
He's going to be doing that.
All right.
Okay. This is exciting. I like talking to you guys.
That's fair.
There is a 3-hour version of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that never saw the light of day.
What?
Yeah.
I kind of need
They
that
actually
in
had
my life.
3 hours and 45 minutes of footage, but they did super strict cuts. And I was actually watching this show the other day, and I'm realizing how many of the gags are, you're not seeing the gag happen, you're seeing right after the gag had happened. Like, you know, when John Candy gets in the bed and puts in the quarter and it starts shaking and there's beer on the bed. Well, there's a whole scene around a delivery guy that brings the pizza, puts the beer on the bed, John Candy puts the thing in, but all you see is the next scene, you see John Candy sitting on the bed, lighting up a cigarette, starting up the bed. The next scene is Steve Martin getting out of the shower, not having anything to dry off with because John Candy used all the towels.
Right.
But he's lying in, and then you see lying in the bed, and then John Candy starts doing his clearing the sinuses and stuff, and Steve Martin makes a comment about, I'm having to sleep in a puddle of beer, and then John Candy goes, well, I didn't know it was going to explode.
Yeah.
Right. But there was actually an entire scene built around that, but all you see is that little part of it.
Oh.
And a lot of the movies like that, as a matter of fact, when Steve Martin finally gets home and his wife is so relieved to see him, it's because there was a whole subplot in that movie where she thought he was having an affair, and that's why he wasn't coming home.
Oh,
Right?
Wow.
Yeah. And so they
I
cut
didn't
all
know
that out.
any of
that
that.
really would have
they
brought
cut-
the mood
They
down.
cut all that out.
Yeah, right?
But anyway,
A little dark for a John Hughes movie.
Yeah.
So the script for the 3-hour version is actually available online. There's a link to it, and you can go read the actual script. And there's a monologue that John Candy does. You know, when Steve Martin comes back to the train station after finally leaving, he comes back, and then John Candy talks about how his wife died 8 years ago and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's actually this whole monologue he goes into that's like supposed to be this tearjerker
Oh,
monologue.
wow.
So,
Well, again, another reason to cut
Yeah.
it out of a comedy.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
But
yeah.
still, yeah. So anyway, I'd be excited to see it. There's actually the TV version. Sometimes there's a scene that John Candy. It's a deleted scene, but in the extended version, the TV version, there's a scene where he's talking about how he makes decisions on airplane food or something like that, and it's totally like doesn't do anything for the story, but it kind of adds to John Candy's character.
Okay.
Help you understand his character more.
Well, all
Anyway.
right.
So,
Good to know.
Such a great movie. I love that movie. I watched
It
it.
is a
last
great
night, and,
movie.
yeah, such a great movie. Anyway, that's all I got.
Cool.
And that's all for this week's edition of Nerd News. You heard it here dead last, folks.